This is the Zach Asbury Show.
One of the commonalities that I seem to be finding amongst people who are very successful like yourself is that they've tended to seek mentors throughout their life, or some sort of mentorship has helped them, become a better, whether it's an academic or someone working in industry. Is that something that's helped you throughout your career?
Not so much. I mean, I think what I've learned are sort of these, I would call them the big lessons.
Okay.
So my professor at Penn, who told me, I needed to become the world's expert. That was like a life-changing comment. I mean, and I actually had the good fortune to see him on his 80th birthday. They had a party for him at Penn, and I happened to still be living in the Philadelphia area, so I went there. And I told him, I said, you're probably not going to remember this, but I told him the story, and I told him how big of an impact it had. And he kind of laughed it off. And I said, it's made a huge difference in my life. I said, and I just thought you'd like to know that. And he was actually very appreciative. But, so occasionally I sort of have these sort of big moments that I remember. And that's a really good example of it, because that's something that, I mean, you could say that's a mentorship moment, right? But it's not like I've had somebody that is outside my organization or in another part of my organization who I go to for advice or to talk things through. That hasn't really been part of my experience. I know it can be very important for people. And I think, part of it has been, and this is like probably a really important thing too. I've never really been focused on a career. Which is probably why I probably could have been more successful in terms of getting to higher levels if I had been. I have a friend once who told me that I didn't have a career path, I had an adventure path. And that's really true. Pretty much every job that I've been offered, I accepted. And I did it because, this looks like a new challenge. This looks interesting. This is a way to broaden my experience. And I never really did it in a thoughtful way that would advance my career. I mean, I did have some goals, I wanted to, when I was in customer marketing, I wanted to get back into marketing. And I found a way to do that. And once I went into business insights and analytics, I found a way to make that happen. But I never really thought about it in a way that would get me to be VP of anything. It was really more about, and then maybe this is sort of the academic in me too. I sort of followed the things that interested me and allowed me to grow as a person. And so the interesting thing is that, I could probably never be promoted at my company because I'm not deep enough in anything. I don't have the expertise in media measurement. I've done dozens of marketing mix analysis and closed loop studies and so on, but nothing like what I would need to have that role. I'm not like a mile wide and an inch deep. I'm more like a mile wide and 6 feet deep. But I needed to be like 200 feet deep on something, right? So I've had this career, which is probably not something to be emulated in some ways, because, 6 years in marketing or 8 years in marketing and 8 years in customer marketing and 10 years in analytics, it's like you just don't get the kind of experience that people are looking for.
Okay.
I actually used to have trouble. I used to have trouble back in about 10 or 15 years ago when I was looking for marketing jobs. And people said, well, you don't have enough marketing experience. You've done too much customer marketing. And I'm like, yeah, but the customer marketing has made me a much better marketer. But they said, well, but, what about advertising? And I'm like, well, I've made 7 or 8 TV commercials. Like, how many do I need to make to be experienced? It wasn't like I didn't have experience. It's I didn't have the depth of experience they were looking for. And I think that was probably, maybe if I had a mentor, I would have gotten some advice in that area. Instead, I just kind of did what interested me. And that's not necessarily maybe that's a recipe for a happy life, but maybe not a successful career if you define success as I've become vice president of something.